ominous music on a Sunday with Halloween decorations somewhat around me. Meanwhile, it's dreadfully hot outside. We're in the dog day afternoons of the summer. But yes, we are going to be talking about Halloween today. A very special live stream for you folks. Something that is near and dear to my heart. Welcome everybody to Aromatically Speaking on the Candle Enthusiast. This is a live stream, a live show, where instead of filming with my cameras and editing, I go live so I can catch your reactions. I can also give you real-time reactions to what I am talking about, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. Anybody who is a fan of Halloween candles probably have heard from one form or another on social media, the internet, email, that Kringle Candle, based out of Bernardston, Massachusetts, has finally released, or are going to be releasing, a brand new Halloween collection. Now, Kringle Candle had a Halloween line from 2012 to 2014, a collection of 4, and I actually have them here for you. And I will kind of share my thoughts and my notes and evaluations on those candles. But after all of these years, it seems like forever, Kringle has released not just 4 candles, but a total of 16 candles. I know, I was surprised too. Let's not waste any more time. I don't have the candles, all of them, here with me, because there was a pre-sale, and I don't have them yet. But what I do have are really high-resolution photographs of all the candles, so we can take an up-close look. We can have a discussion. I can answer some of your questions. I can tell you what I purchased. You can tell me what you purchased, or if you plan on purchasing anything that's not sold out yet. So let us get to it. The first thing to do, always the first thing to do, is to pull you guys up on the screen below me. So this way I can read your comments. Look at everybody in the house. I really appreciate everyone joining. Anyone who's been with me on the Candle Enthusiast here for a while know that they know that Halloween is kind of my thing, and I get really excited about this time of year, even though it's still July. This is when what I call candle mania begins. This is candle season. There's not a single moment, a time of the year, when candles are more talked about, more anticipated than they are right now. It's like right after 4th of July until halfway through September, and then of course we have the second wave during the holiday season. So I do see everybody in the chat. I will kind of periodically look down to answer some questions, but I do want to get started. If you are new to this channel, or you just stumbled across this video, make sure you hit subscribe, because today we're going to be talking about the candles, but I will be evaluating the candles, and not just Kringle candles, all the brand new Yankee Candle fragrances that are coming out this year, and Witch City Wicks, small batch candle company out of Salem, Massachusetts. We're going to be talking about the pre-sale there, give you my tips to make sure you can get your hands on these candles before they sell out, because they always sell out. So just to recap, about almost a week ago, Kringle Candle, just without warning, put up their Halloween fragrances. Now, there were some rumors. I won't get into that. You can check out some of my older videos. There were some rumors that new candles were going to come out, but no one really knew what. I mean, last year there was supposed to be a Halloween line, and it never came out. There was even photographs of the candles, and they still didn't come out. So I think a lot of us weren't trying to get our hopes up. So let me pull up this so we can take an up-close look at all of these candles. Kringle Halloween 2019. All right, so let's do something fancy here. Want to do something fancy? I feel like doing something fancy. That's not fancy. That's not fancy either. But this is. All right. So let's start with the first Kringle candle. This also comes in the country candle format. If you don't know, Kringle Candle has a secondary line, a subsidiary company, and it's called Country Candle. They're very much like Yankee Candle apothecary jars. So first candle on the list is going to be the classic large Kringle Candle tumbler. These tumblers are amazing. I think anyone who's a big fan of Kringle Candle, I think the one thing that we really appreciate about these tumblers is their durability. I mean, they're heavy as heck, but they, you smack two Yankee candles together gently, they're going to shatter. These guys, I've never broken a Kringle candle ever. But Black Cat, this one was talked about last year, and very simple label, a black flat satin finish label with cat eyes. Let's see if we can get kind of that's a high resolution of the label, but it's really just two eyes, and that's just a close-up of the label as well. But this also, like I said, comes in the country candle format, and here's what that looks like. So obviously, if you're not up on Kringle, what was it, 2017 they introduced country candle, colored wax in the classic apothecary jar, 2 wicks. They are paraffin wax based. Black Cat, that silhouette of the cat looking upon that moonlight bats overhead, that beautiful key lime green color. This was a tough decision because I like the Kringle candle tumbler, but this jar looks really, really great. And let's see. Let's talk about these fragrance notes, because this is a reaction video after all, and bear with me as I switch back and forth with the camera. This whole system is new to me here. So I really have not read these fragrance notes. I haven't done it. I'm sure you guys have. Let's read them. Here we go. Black Cat. Good things happen when this cat crosses your path. A complex blend of wood, citrus, and musk create bright freshness. Okay, so good things happen when this cat crosses your path. No information there. So these aren't fragrance notes. These are like poetic descriptions. A complex blend of wood, citrus, and musk create a bright freshness. That's a little bit confusing. If you really, really focus on that description, I just wouldn't categorize musk and wood as bright freshness, would you? Citrus, I certainly would. And I'm trying to see a concept here. Maybe that cat on the tree, the musk, can kind of be that creature of the night, the black cat in that nocturnal cat out on the tree. I don't know. I'm doing my best here. That's not a lot to work with. What do you guys think of Black Cat? This was one of the candles that was supposedly supposed to come out last year. And Bo Cooper says they all look great Renee says, I kind of love them all. Let's see if I see everybody, but I want to get up and around here to see a lot of new faces here. We have Jordan Burke in the house. He sees the Barney egg. What is Jordan referring to? The Barney egg is that, I don't know what color you want to call that. It's an orange eggplant fusion. It, to me, looks like Barney's egg. Wow. Really good throwback reference. Appreciate that. Okay, you guys seem to be excited. We have a good number of folks in the house. Let's keep going. Let's not slow down. So Black Cat, which one do you prefer? The tumbler? Now the tumblers, here's the thing. Kringle candles have always been primarily, they don't disclose, like many candle companies, the exact blend of their wax. But the Kringle candles are primarily paraffin wax. And what's interesting about these limited edition Halloween tumblers, not the country candles, is that they're kind of sold them as soy blends. And soy blend doesn't mean 100% soy. It means there's some soy in it. How much soy? I don't know. But it's interesting because I don't believe I've ever burned a soy Kringle candle before. I think one of the things I love about Kringle candle is that I know a lot of people are afraid of paraffin for health reasons. That's a topic for another day. I'd be more than happy to share my thoughts on that. But what I love about paraffin is that the shelf life of the candles. Soy candles are great. They can fill up your living space with aromatics super quick and really give you efficient burns, no maintenance, very little maintenance, I should say. But paraffin candles, I have, a lot of you know, I have, paraffin candles that are well over 35, not well over 35 years, but some over 35 years old, and they smell great. The shelf life is amazing. Soy is much, much more perishable. So, you're looking at more of like 5 years before that wax starts to kind of decompose and break down. But that's just my experience. Let's talk about another new candle. This one, kind of a reference of George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead saga, Day of the Dead. When you look at the photo, you won't think so. But let's switch this up and take a look. This one only comes in the Kringle limited edition, large 2-wick soy blend tumbler. What we have is that this was, I believe, was last year. It was going by the working title of Voodoo Lady, and that really scared me. With our PC, world that we live in now, I just figured that might be a problem, and I figured that they did as well since they changed the name. Very intriguing photograph. This reminds me of so many things. Let's get a nice high resolution version of that photograph. Let's take a close look here. Really, really beautiful stuff. The photographer, anyway, really well lit. And what's great is this is called Day of the Dead, like the holiday Day of the Dead. I've never celebrated Day of the Dead, but to me, Day of the Dead, reminds me of sweet treats and all the wonderful things that I've kind of experienced through my time living out in the West Coast and the East Coast. You never hear about this holiday, sadly. But let's read the fragrance notes of Day of the Dead. I have to pull this up. And what we'll do is we'll switch back. What do you guys think of that label? Day of the Dead. A magical elixir. Well, I gotta focus here. A magical elixir. I love that already. A magical elixir of sparkling citrus mixed with spiced florals and rich oriental accords. Talk about PC. Is the word oriental? So you guys tell me. Is that PC still? We're not gonna have a PC conversation here, but I don't know what that means. Rich Oriental accord. I guess that might mean some Eastern incense, plant-based resins, things. If you've ever had burned a candle that was used, if there was like a candle called Dragon's Blood. Dragon's Blood is actually a real thing. It's a proprietary blend of many different plant-based biomass, compressed biomass and resins. It's a very exotic smell, beautiful, which kind of fits this whole magical thing. You know, Day of the Dead, we're dealing with kind of, you know, this spiritual aspect, the afterlife. So having that mystical, more robust, rich, resinous smells. You know, if you go into like a New Age shop, or what's a good name for them? A New Age shop. My experience is walking around Salem, Massachusetts. Every gift shop you walk into, they're burning incense. They have the craziest smelling candles, essential oils. You walk into like a magic shop, like Abracadabras or Tannins in New York City. Same thing. There's that smell of the magic shop, very much like incense. If this candle smells anything like a magic shop or like a Salem gift shop or like a boutique, that might be a really great direction. The sparkling citrus is great. You know, I always talk about we need citrus. We need something bright to lift very deep bass notes. And if it is a rich oriental accord meaning a mix of different components, and spiced florals, like spicier florals, like potpourri. I don't know if that's what they mean by spiced florals. Certainly I don't think baking spice, but who knows. All right, so I'm happy with that one. Easily, based on the description and the label alone, that is the winner so far. How do you guys feel? Philly Candleman in the house. Brett, if you guys are not familiar with Brett Philly Candleman here on YouTube, make sure you swing over and subscribe. This guy does his homework, this guy does his research, and he posts tons of videos that, you know, he's kind of helping report the news, what's going on in the candle industry. And I can't really express my gratitude enough to him. He's really helped me out since we have become friends. But Philly Candleman says Mick meaning the owner of Kringle Candle, has stated earlier that they are able to add more fragrance oil in their soy candles. They are maxed out in the paraffin. So by creating these soy blends, what I think Brett's trying to say, by creating these soy blends, they can inoculate, like that word, they can add more fragrance oil per unit of candle compared to the paraffin. So maybe this is a good change for Kringle. Danny says, yes, not going to lie, I'm disappointed that the Kringle ones are soy blends, but I still ordered them anyway. Renee says, I'd love to get my hands on one of those Sleepy Hollow ones. We'll take a look at that one in just a little bit. Corinne, I just wish I could get them. I know, Corinne. I mean, there really should have been a mass emailing before these candles went live, they were launched. It really was, in my opinion. I hope they do this again next year. I think they will, because I think it was pretty successful this year, but I just feel like the people who were able to get the candles were the ones who are very active on social media and, checking out what's going on in the candle industry almost every day. I can't imagine just casually discovering that Kringle is going to put up the candles, and they sold out really fast. There's still some of the country candles available on the website. So you really should take note of that. Philly Candleman saying black soy blend. So is the wax black? I thought Mick had kind of said that the wax isn't black, because you look at the jars, it looks like it's black wax. I thought he said that the inside of the glass was painted black and then baked to seal it. Or maybe I'm just misunderstanding what you're saying. Mystic Pizza, we can't get Kringle in the UK. You used to. Kringle, one of the things I talk about Kringle is the confusion I have with their distribution. I don't know what happened. It seemed like their distribution was great, international, and also nationwide. But sometimes I'll come across like Kringle candles in a grocery store. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just don't think, in my personal opinion, that is okay for Kringle. Kringle's more what I would call an affordable luxury brand. I don't think you should find them in grocery stores. I think they should be found in more, nicer boutiques, stores where you would buy fine products, fragrances, aroma, cosmetics, whatever it may be. Florists usually carry things like Votivo, so I think that's probably something that I would like to see Kringle distribute to, and also get the candles back internationally. Let's keep moving. And if you guys are watching and if you're enjoying, I do want to remind you, how about we hit that thumbs up button? You know what? That really helps me out. And if you're lurking in the background, just listening, and you're not chatting with us, get on your phone, get up on your computer, and start chatting with me and everybody else in the chat room. All right, Graveyard Night. Woo, Graveyard Night. This was another one that we saw. We got some rumors about last year, and never panned out. Let's take a look. All right, there we go. So, bam. This is not, I apologize, this is not like an official promotion by Kringle Candle. This is something I put together for my Instagram profile. A little plug here. My Instagram handle is candle.enthusiast. Make sure you swing over and give me a follow. This way you can stay up to date with all the new stuff that's coming out, especially this time of year. But Graveyard Night. Well, there's no graveyard on the label, but there is this really, really cool and very well lit pumpkin. I love how you get the strong contrast of orange and blue. So you get the cold and the hot, and then the background, that misty, hazy black forest, the gnarly branches completely out of focus. Even if you look at his eyes, his sinister eyes here, you can see like the light shining out. You can even see, can you see that? The guts inside of the eyes. Can you see that? That is incredible. The actual stringy strands of pumpkin gourd guts. So safe to say, I see a label like this, I see a name like this, although I don't tie the image and the name together, it seems a little bit disjointed, it still very much intrigued me. So let's take a look at the fragrance notes. This is so pathetic. I have this little tiny photo here. Graveyard Night, and I spelled pumpkin wrong. How about that? So there was a description of this, but I just really wrote down, and I have to thank all the folks over at the Candle Enthusiast Facebook group for helping me hunt these down this afternoon, and also Brett, Philly Candleman. I did spell pumpkin wrong. That's very embarrassing. But the essential notes that were listed in the description: pumpkin, cinnamon, clove, nutmeg. Now, I obviously did see this one earlier because I typed it out because they removed some of the candles from the website, so I couldn't copy and paste them. Let me pull that up again. Let me just really emphasize pumpkin, cinnamon, clove, nutmeg. What is that? Can somebody tell me what that is? I'm serious. What is that? That's pumpkin pie spice, or pumpkin pie spice, or just a combination of spices with pumpkin, like the gourd. And Cruisebat Morgan with the super chat. Thank you so much. $10. I will fully thank you later, because you guys know how much that means to me. Even the smallest little pledge to the channel. Thank you so much, Morgan. But I just hope that description was lazy and that there's more going on, because if that candle is just baking spices, I think that's the last thing that the candle industry needs, is just another, for Halloween, just another mixture of baking spices. Now, that's not to say if it is just baking spices, maybe the oils, the fragrance oils, are extremely high quality. So maybe there is an incredible authenticity to this candle. And maybe because it's this new soy blend, that the aroma, when it fills up your space, will kind of morph and change. You know, maybe you'll get a little bit more of that red, spicy cinnamon. Then maybe you might get that more of that kind of sweet, honey-like gourd pumpkin smell, like when you carve that jack-o'-lantern every Halloween October season. I just hope that there's descriptions, or there's fragrance in there that is just not being described. Graveyard Night. We see a pumpkin, but it's called Graveyard Night. So that one is a little. I had to get it, but you know, it's a little bit confusing when I saw that this afternoon. What do you guys think? I mean, do you think that maybe the descriptions, the fragrance notes, were just very vague, and that these will be much more complex? Or maybe what I was saying was true. If the quality of the fragrance oil is out of this world, and this new soy blend wax burns in a very efficient manner, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Matt says it smells like Yankee Candles apple pumpkin. I wonder what he's referring to there. I was going to say it means that they can put you down when you go out of line. I don't know what that's in reference to, but you guys do. Alright, how's the sound? You guys let me know if the sound is okay. It is a hot day here in New York, so I have the AC on and a fan. That's not typical of me. Let's keep going. Let us keep going, because we have a lot to talk about. And some candles to actually break out. Alright. Haunted House. I had a little fun putting this photograph together. A little Photoshop entertainment for myself. Let's have you guys take a look at this. Boom. Since it's called Haunted House, and clearly on the label here, if I can zoom in, we have the Bates, like, you know, an image very much inspired by the Bates house. This digital rendering of almost an exact duplicate of the Bates house, and that stormy blue sky, the angle, very dramatic upward angle, absolutely gorgeous. Haunted house. Well, there was nothing haunted about the Bates house, but I had to theme this to kind of, you know, Hitchcock's 1961 classic Psycho, and I'm just so curious what this candle would smell like. I would imagine it would smell, you know, like old floorboards and moss and ivy, and you know, maybe a dank, cold fruit cellar where Norma Bates is being held. Let's read those fragrance notes, shall we? That's not what I want. Fragrance notes. Haunted house, warm clove, fresh pine, touches of spice and florals, spookily brought together. Warm spice, fresh pine, touches of spice, which is, we've already mentioned warm clove, so it's spice. It's just more than clove, I assume. And florals. Florals I get. You know, think about, you know, like, again, we're going back to a graveyard or cemetery, but I think great, you know, Halloween candles have done this before. The idea of decaying flowers left by tombstones, but these bouquets that were once beautiful and plush are now shriveled and discolored. And you know, when you walk into a creepy, I don't want to say creepy, funeral parlors, it's kind of mean, you know, people who are in that line of work. But when you walk into a funeral parlor, you know, there is that, you know what, let's skip the funeral parlor. Let's talk about walking into Norman Bates' mother's bedroom, like several of the cast members did in Psycho. You walk in there and there's the perfume and the old clothes and the old furniture, and you could just imagine the muskiness, the powder, the perfume, the floral, the pungent nature of Mrs. Bates' bedroom and clothing. You know, she's got the armoire filled with clothes. So, you know, that is spooky to me. I don't know if that will appeal to everyone, if that's precisely what it is. What's throwing me off, I'll be honest, is the clove, the spice. I don't know if that's needed for a haunted house, unless it's used as a nuance, an accent. But to say clove, warm clove, and then touches of spice, I don't know. I'm interested to see what that means. And then fresh pine. The first thing I think all of us, when we hear the word pine, is we think about pine trees. We think about pine needles, pine sap, Christmas, right? Christmas wreaths, coniferous trees, even like blue spruces, and pine cones. But we can't forget about fresh pine timber, lumber, right? So I think pine is a great ingredient for this candle, But again, I think these descriptions are written a little haphazardly, because why fresh pine? Even if it was fresh pine, right? You want to paint a portrait in these descriptions, and there's nothing fresh about the wood in this haunted house, right? It's going to be antiqued. It's going to be old. It's probably going to be saturated from rain that's leaked through the ceiling. It's going to be old wood, right? So I think something, even if they were going to go say fresh pine, if fresh pine was there, I would say weather-beaten pine, sun-bleached pine. Have fun with, just find a good adjective other than fresh. But I'm being a little bit critical here. So interesting. I was hoping that these descriptions would be a little bit longer, to be honest with you. So let us keep going. Lou says, I love Psycho. Yes, Psycho, other than Vertigo, North by Northwest, Rear Window, I don't know. Psycho, I think, stands on its own as a very special Hitchcockian film. Hey, and Lou says, my cat's name is Norman Bates. How cool is that? Oh, and look, even Lou is mentioning the indication, her imprint, Mrs. Bates, on the mattress in her bedroom. So she's a big Psycho fan. All right. Let's move on to the next candle. This one called It's Alive. Like Dr. Frankenstein, Victor von Frankenstein. Performing his godly like mania, resurrecting the dead. It's alive. Wait until if you haven't seen this label, wait until you see this. Again, this is a rendering that I have put together. But check this out. I've heard several people say that this is a little bit too graphic for them. It's a little bit too spooky. It crosses the line for them where they really can't enjoy it. So if anyone's seen the original Sam Raimi's 1981 Evil Dead poster, this is what this reminds me of. That hand protruding from the ground. You can see some vegetation down here, so we know that it's something dead that was buried and is emerging from the ground. So no Frankenstein reference here, I don't think. Very scrawny and bony fingers, right? Too. Almost as if this zombie is starving or a bit satiated and needs to feed on human flesh. I don't know. But it makes you wonder, what can this smell like? I believe that this one, I don't have the full description either. What I have is the fragrance notes, like what's in it, but no poetic description. Let's read this. What do you guys think? Do you think that that's, I mean, even if you're okay with that label, do you think that label crosses a line for Kringle? Good, family, luxurious, nostalgic candles. Is it a little bit too much? Is it a little bit beyond that realm of playful? Or are you fine with it? I'll be happy to share my opinion if you leave the question down in the comments below. Okay, so here it is. Fresh fir. Now, not fur, like, fur, like a wolf. Fir as in the coniferous tree, like pine needles. Balsam fir needles. So, fresh fir, fresh balsam. Okay. And zest of lime. There's got to be more in this candle. Fresh fir, fresh balsam, zest of lime. I don't have the description, so maybe in the description, if anyone has a description, feel free to share it. In the description, they might allude to more things that might provoke images. But what that's telling me is that that is going to be obviously a very outdoorsy candle. I hate to compare candles with candles, but let's talk about Yankee Candle's 2017 release, Haunted Hollow. Now, I was so excited when I got this candle for the first time. I hunted it down before it was officially released, and I thought everyone was going to love it because it smelled like being out in the forest, in the cold. You could smell the forest floor, all of that decaying autumn goodness underneath your feet. But it was still bright and refreshing. You know, the freshness of the blue spruce needles. There was a limey, citrusy, but also cologne-like aroma in there, bergamot. So, although this says lime, that said bergamot. I was a huge fan of Haunted Hollow when it came out. Don't tell Yankee Candle this, but I was in the Yankee Candle Village watching people smell that candle for the first time moments after they put it on the shelves. And I can't tell you how many disappointed faces and disgusted faces that I saw. People just were not digging it. It was almost too authentic, too realistic. They wanted something more playful and fun. However, they get rid of Haunted Hollow. Now everyone wants it, right? It's the way it goes. So I hope that this candle, It's Alive, doesn't smell like Haunted Hollow, but it plays by the same rules. But what I really hope is that there's more going on. That it's not just, cedar, fir, balsam, pine, with a little bit of spritz of zest, lime oil to brighten it up. I hope that there's things like oak moss or vetiver, patchouli to add to the earthiness, the saturated cold soil. Other kinds of moss. I've been seeing things hoping Spanish moss is something that really gives you that idea of dried out vegetation. It smells like dried hay, or even the corn mazes, the cornfields, the corn stalks during harvest season or at the end of harvest season. So if they're going to make a candle that's really this intense with the label, I hope they match the intensity of the image with the fragrance. I want that candle not to be everybody's cup of tea. That's what's great about candles. A candle shouldn't satisfy everybody. You should connect with it or you should not. But by playing it safe, so everyone has a chance of liking it, is not my cup of tea. I like it when I see people love something, and some people, I don't want to say hate something, but openly admit it's not for them. And we're going to be talking about that in a little bit when we discuss the returning classic, probably the greatest Halloween candle I've ever burned. And I have a long story. I'm not going to share this story today, but I have a long history with this candle, Witch's Cauldron. And no, it does not smell like Yankee Candle's Witch's Brew. Not even close. Virtually no similarities. Virtually. It's Alive. You wonder if they thought about doing Frankenstein, but maybe... I know Boris Karloff's daughter, Sarah Karloff, I've met her, she's a wonderful woman, but she's very strict about people using the likeness of her father. The classic Boris Karloff Frankenstein, the square face, the hair, the plugs. So maybe it was a Frankenstein concept. All right, Poison Apple. Let's take a look at this. So beautiful label. We have the limited edition soy blend, large tumbler. I love the macro lens for this photography, meaning you really feel like you're up close and personal with this apple. You see the little details. It looks like that apple is the size of a house, you know, if you were to look at this with your own eyes. And, there's other poison apples out there by other companies, and they all have their different takes. So it's got to smell like apple, right? But what's going to make it smell like poison? Do I have it here? I do. Enticing scent will transport you to a dreamlike state. Okay, well, no descriptions there. And I've discussed this candle with some buddies of mine, and I would imagine that this would probably fall into the realm of a Macintosh apple, so a fresh apple skins, but hopefully a little bit of an inclusion of apple cider. And if we're going to do apple cider, there's always that chance you're going to get the baking spices in there, the mulled spices. So if there is cinnamon in there, or any kind of honey or rum, or even like apple brandy notes, I hope that it's done with balance. Balance is just really important to me. So again, I don't think we need another candle that's apple and baking spices. We just don't need it, especially at this price point. So I'm hoping that the lack of information given to us about that candle means that there will be a surprise attached to it. Did anyone buy that? To me, that was an incredibly hard sell, but it did sell out. And how they did that, brilliant by Kringle. They used the image of that poison apple label for their banner on the website, and as soon as it sold out, they changed the banner to Black Cat. So they were obviously trying to include the images of the candles that might be a little bit harder to push and sell on the banners on the website. Always a good idea, and apparently it worked. Stephanie Hall says, it's alive, the label. It's not scary to me. Kids aren't scared of zombies these days. I will agree. I wasn't even scared of zombies when I was a kid. But then again, I was a big fan of horror films. Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead were staples of late night summer movies, VHS, and popcorn. Haunted Hollow was intense, but so good, says Elizabeth. I agree with you, Elizabeth, and I just hope that Yankee, if not Yankee, I can understand that it might not fit Yankee Candle's demographic, or maybe the demographic's not the right word, but maybe doesn't fit their image, that fragrance profile. I just hope that other candle companies aren't afraid to make candles like that. That is great. That is still available there. I wish I knew. I ordered 9 of the 16, but poison apple was not one of them. I get it. It's a hard sell, especially when they gave us nothing to work with other than a very pretty picture of an apple. Cruisebat Morgan says, which city wicks poison apple is so great, I will stick with that. Yes. I can safely say at this point, I'm trying to make sure I can safely say at this point which City Wicks will be bringing back Poison Apple this year. There's going to be a total of 6 fragrances. One of them has yet to be announced. I know what it is. I saw it. I smelled it. It's very exciting. I'm going to be posting something on that very soon and creating several videos on which City Wicks in just a little bit. But Poison Apple is a really, really fun mulled cider, complex, authentic candle if you're looking for one. Which City Wicks? Big plug and shout out to Liz. Melissa says, Kringle is blowing everyone away this Halloween. I ordered 8 candles. I think in quantity, yes. Definitely showing everyone up. Here's the problem. If they don't restock these candles, our casual fans or casual consumers of Kringle, are they going to be able to get their hands on them? That's my concern. That's my concern. And I think a concern everyone else had was, okay, they finally brought these classic retired fragrances back. Do we buy a case of each of them? Or are they simply just going to make more next year? Or more restock later in the season? I don't know. So that was a little bit of trouble. All right, another Which City Wicks name shares a name with this next candle. And that's perfectly fine. Sleepy Hollow, as in Sleepy Hollow, New York, Washington Irving's The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Pictured is the Headless Horseman, the Hessian Trooper, the Guardian Spectre of the Cemetery, axe in hand, which the Headless Horseman did not use in the book. That is a direct reference to Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow. I may be wrong. There might be some other reference that predated Tim Burton's film. But we have, the Headless Horseman kind of, I don't know. It looks like he's celebrating, doesn't it? He's got his axe in the air. He's kind of strolling around the old Dutch cemetery with that moon in the background. Not only do we have the bat silhouetted by the moon, but we also have that Edgar Allan Poe raven. Interesting. Now, so many possibilities with a candle like this, right? Here's a little something I put together. What could this smell like? If you think about it for a second, if you were put to the task to make a Sleepy Hollow candle, every one of us has to have seen some form of adaptation of the original story. To you, what would it smell like? Would it be inspired by the Headless Horseman? Would it be inspired by Ichabod Crane? Would it be inspired by, upstate New York, Apple Country, the Hudson Valley, a graveyard, a cemetery, the forest, deep into, away from any kind of civilization? Think about that when I read these fragrance notes, if I can get you guys back here. There you guys are. Let's read these fragrance notes. Are you ready? This one I have read before, just to fully disclose. A bold blend of honey. A bold blend of honey, citrus, and lavender. Dreamy. It says that. Like a bold blend of honey, comma, citrus and lavender, period. Dreamy, period. I love Kringle Candle. I do. I really love Kringle Candle. But I'm saying this out of being a friend of Kringle Candle, and because I love Kringle Candle, really have to up your game when it comes to these descriptions. If you really are going to go with these notes that have really nothing to do with autumn, you're not going to find lavender in autumn. You're not going to find citrus in autumn in the winter. Well, you can find honey in autumn, but no association there. To me, that sounds like a refreshing beverage. I actually made a video where I made a lemon tea, or a green tea with lemon, honey, and dried lavender, and it was super refreshing. I just don't see the correlation with Sleepy Hollow. So if you're going to use those descriptors, those fragrance notes, give us a description that's going to just knock us off our feet, right? Let us know why you chose those fragrance notes. So, I don't know. That's a toss-up. That's a toss-up. I might be eating my words when I smell and burn this candle. And you guys will be the first to know. What do you think? Is it just... Would you hope for something like scorching pumpkin flesh, pumpkin innards, acorn, freshly fallen foliage on the forest floor, twigs, brush, sun-dried pine needles, leather musk, the armor and the saddle of this trooper, this headless horseman, the cold steel of his blade. Again, this is a specter of the cemetery. He emerges from the depths, from the darkness of the cemetery. So where is our cemetery? We need to paint the portrait. And by we, I mean candle companies. We need to help paint the portrait. You have to let the customer's imagination do its thing. But you have to give them a nice leaping start. That's my opinion. That's my reaction on that one. Let's keep this going. Trick or treat. Pretty much a candle name that every candle company has produced at some point, one time or another. Excuse me, I was a little confused there. What am I looking for? Here is the image I want to share with you. This is also going to be the Country Candle 2-wick paraffin apothecary jar. Let's see what this one's all about. I like this one. That label, the color. We have that nice kind of black and white with the punch of the orange gleaming from the jack-o'-lanterns. Again, the bats and the moon. Same kind of twisted Tim Burton-esque gnarly trees. You can see it does say limited. All these country candles do say limited edition on there. And before we continue, let me show you kind of a high resolution version of the label here. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just higher resolution. You see a ghost there. I don't know if I could see the ghost on the other. Yeah, you can't see the ghost there. Interesting. Let's read these fragrance notes, people. Are you ready? I'm ready. Trick or treat. Now remember, Yankee Candle's Trick or Treat. As there's a brand new Trick or Treat candle this year. Different from what most of us have seen from Yankee Candle in contemporary years. But usually it's some form of like candy corn concept. Trick or treat. Chocolate, spice, maple, pumpkin. I spelled pumpkin right this time. pumpkin, vanilla, cinnamon. Well, I think that sounds amazing. And that's totally not sarcasm if anyone's taking it that way. Chocolate, spice. Chocolate and spice. Yeah. Like, let's paint this portrait, right? Think about some hot cocoa, but not like a sweet, milk chocolatey hot cocoa. Like a really dark, rich, dark chocolate hot cocoa. And we get a little bit of grated nutmeg and cinnamon in there. Just a little bit, just a dusting. Maybe even some cinnamon sugar, right? Just to get a little bit of that sugar. But we won't need the cinnamon sugar. Why? Because if we have maple, that's going to be our sweetening agent. It's going to sweeten up that dark chocolate. Maple syrup, the robust wooden qualities, the buttery qualities, the vanilla qualities in maple. It doesn't say maple syrup, but it just says maple, so I don't know if they're referring to maple as in the wood. But as far as I know, that there isn't real maple essential oil or fragrance. I mean, there's fragrance oil, but it's not derived from actual maple wood. It's a hardwood. You really can't make an essential oil out of hardwood. I could be wrong. You let me know. Pumpkin, not pumpkin spice, but pumpkin, vanilla, and cinnamon. So again, they're doing it again. Spice, and then they're saying cinnamon again later on. Now, these are just the fragrance notes. They did give a description of this fragrance, I think. But, so my point is, it's just scary, because when you're saying spice and cinnamon, I just don't want too much spice. But I definitely like the idea of a little bit of baking spice, to the addition of dark chocolate, and I always like to think of it in beverage form, because I try to paint the portrait in my head. Dark chocolate, and sweetened up with that maple, made creamier by that vanilla, and more decadent by that possibly savory pumpkin. Trick or treat. Is it candy? Is it a bag of sweet treats? Is it a savory candle? Something that you would smell out of a window, a kitchen window, on a cold autumn's night? Someone's baking something in the oven. Is it salty and buttery? There's not enough information here to know. Or is it some kind of like concoction that you would get at Starbucks or a coffee shop to keep yourself warm while you're trick-or-treating, walking around those neighborhoods at night when you're a kid? Huh. Interesting. I like that one. It's I hope that is successful. Because that's much different. I really, again, I think when you hear the words trick or treat, at least me, I think we're going to get some form of buttercream, honey, candy corn, penny candy kind of scent. And that doesn't seem like it's going to be what it's going to be. Let's check in with you guys. Pug Life, Greek dessert. I'm sure there's context to that somewhere. Oh, look at this. Emily C. Has given us... Ooh, look at this. This is not what I had. Chocolate spiced pumpkin. Now, that's not pumpkin spice. Spiced pumpkin means a pumpkin that's been spiced. It's a difference. Mid-notes of cinnamon, whipped vanilla base. No, excuse me. Whipped vanilla. And then base notes of maple. So I think it is a wood note, not a maple syrup note. Nutmeg. Adding to the baking spice, but also bridging the wooden quality. Bridging, what's the other wooden one in there? maple. Nutmeg has that wooden aroma, and butter rum. See, why does that sound amazing? And then that Sleepy Hollow it might smell amazing, but it was questionable. It was questionable. This description of trick or treat reminds me of being a kid and walking to the store to get candy. That's what the inside of the bag would smell like. Yeah, right? Which City Wicks trick or treat candle last year, to me, was like a burlap sack of tricks or treats. I read those notes as a Halloween party with desserts and the hot rum. And I see you, Rachel. And Violet Moon says, Giant Moon is cool. It would be better if it was violet. Very appropriate. Violet, nice to see you in the house today. I want to keep this going. I want to remind everyone there is going to be an after show when we conclude this Kringle talk. But we still have a lot to do here, so just be prepared that we will be switching destinations at some point. What is the next candle on the list? This is taking long, but I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. Let's look at Zombie Night. We have Graveyard Night, and we have Zombie Night, and we have It's Alive, which is a zombie coming out of the ground at night. Don't let my looks deceive you. Don't read into my looks. This is what happens when you make a reaction video, right? Let's take a look at this, guys. I hope there's some of you out there that haven't seen any of these before, because this is, I think this would be really fun. So, Zombie Night. We have, again, that moon, which just seems to be a theme in these country candles. Limited edition, very odd color. Now the sky in the photograph, great. The color of the candle, I love it. I like it. But honestly, imagine if it was called Mermaid Night or Mermaid Evening or Afternoon at the Lagoon. It kind of looks like that's what the candle is. So odd color, but it is very pretty, and it does match the label. So I'm not criticizing that. I am just putting that out there. We see several folks in tattered clothing. The living dead have arisen from their final resting place, and they're attacking the countryside, apparently with a bunch of bats as well. Let's see if we can get a higher resolution photograph of this. I don't know if it's higher resolution. Yeah, it's not that really that high resolution, and that's not giving us any more information. Starry Night, yeah, okay. Well, that's intriguing. Zombie Night, how will this be different than the other ones that are quite similar? It's Alive and Graveyard Night. There's only one way to find out. Let's read these notes. Another short one. I'm hoping for one that's super long. Zombie Night. Refreshing green vegetal. Whoa. I use the word vegetal all the time, meaning vegetables, right? That is a wine term. When you're evaluating wine, you're talking about vegetal notes all the time, but I never get to say the word vegetal when evaluating candles, because how often do you smell And don't get it confused with vegetation. Not the same thing. Vegetation would be more herbaceous. Herbaceous or herbs or herbal. But okay, so let's go back. Refreshing green vegetal and what is going on? This is a screenshot from the website. Refreshing green vegetal enhanced with the touch of musk. Vegetal is not a noun. Oh man, I'm really thinking they, like, before they launched these candles, they just did one of those quick, like, oh man, we got to put some kind of description here, because that is just not even grammatically correct. Refreshing green vegetal enhanced with the touch of musk. So although vegetal does imply vegetables, not vegetation, I mean, it's up to you how you want to define it, at least in the wine world. I think what they're going for is vegetal, meaning vegetation, green grass, ivy, leaves, nature, the greenness around us, moss, whatever it might be. And refreshing, there's that word again, refreshing. Refreshing, okay. And with a touch of musk. So they're not giving us a specific kind of musk, but we can think of musk being a floral musk, a really pungent floral, or baby powder, talcum powder. We could think about musk being like the smell of leather or fresh picked rose petals, the smell of a brand new car, the new car smell. That's a muskiness. There's many different forms of musk, and I think the musk is really important in this concept. Very important. But look what they did. They said enhanced with a touch of musk. And they didn't even tell us, they didn't give us an adjective to explain what kind of muskiness we should expect. Again, so I'm really critiquing not so much the fragrance notes, but how these are written, which I shouldn't be doing. What's not to love about plants and zombies? Am I being too hard? You guys tell me, am I being too hard? I'm not. Maybe that's just not my sense of humor. What's not to love about plants and zombies? I don't think that's funny. And it doesn't give us any information. So they are talking about plants, not vegetables, which honestly is a good thing, right? Because who wants, let's face it, who wants a candle that smells like Brussels sprouts? What's not to love about plants and zombies? I might be being too hard. I may be being too hard. Am I? So Lou says vegetal equals relating to plants, according to Google. I'll take that completely. If that is the case, if that is the definition, then they didn't use it wrong. And I'll restate again. I use that term because it is a very popular wine term, and it's how you separate herbaceous, which would be herbs and plant-based materials, versus the actual vegetables that grow on the plants. I bought incense sticks. One was called Graveyard, the other one Forbidden Crypt from eBay. Haven't burnt them yet, says Greg. What was the name of the company, Greg? And Philly Candleman says, I'm all over this scent. I've heard you say that before, Brett. But I just did not want to look at the fragrance notes. I can see why. Brett is all about green grass, greenhouse, tall blades of grass, tropical vegetation candles. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brett, but botanical concepts, florals, very big green notes. In fact, Brett, what is your favorite Kringle candle? Philly Candleman, for those of you who don't know who I'm referring to. What is your favorite Kringle candle that is green, grass, vegetation, or I guess vegetal, since I had the word wrong. But thank you, Lou. Thank you, Lou. And I'll show you a Kringle fragrance that is long retired. And Brett, don't be jealous. Don't be jealous, my friend. Let's see if I can do this. Focus. Can you focus for me, please? There it is. If you can't read that, that says fresh cut grass. This is an Old Daylight by Kringle Candle. And man, let me tell you, that is exactly what this smells like. This is like when you take fresh grass, and if you took fresh grass and you threw it in a blender, you know, you're making it pulpy. You're extracting the actual liquids, the fluids within the greens. So the greens, the leaves, the weeds, you throw that into a Vitamix or a blender. But then you throw in a bunch of cucumbers into that blender, because there's a melon, bright, refreshing quality to this, but also that chlorophyll richness of the cucumber skins. And it's what I think what's great about this is it's not pungent, you know, like if any of you guys with allergies can't stand the smell of like cutting the grass, it's not pungent. It is an old candle, but from my memory, that was always a very refreshing green candle. Let's keep going. And Danny says, I thought Zombie Night would look better in the black wax. What is next? There's so many here. I really didn't think this was going to take a long time. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back through the list and talk about the candles that have been retired. Again, they were introduced in 2012. They were sold in several formats. They were sold in 8-ounce single wick tumblers. Nothing bigger than this. And if I'm wrong about that, I gotta get my hands on one, and I'm sure that's impossible. But no, they were sold in these 8-ounce tumblers, and then they got smaller. I believe this is 4 ounces. They were sold in these tumblers with the aluminum lids, and then they also came in daylights. So these are a part of the original collection, folks. This is Witch's Cauldron. Will these candles, the new ones, the returning candles, will they smell like the originals? We're going to smell those candles in just a little bit, but let me show you what they look like. Let us start with the most talked about candle, and that is going to be Witch's Cauldron. Now this came in both the tumbler by Kringle and the country candle line in the apothecary jar. Yes, let's look at this. Bam. Oh man, is that a sight for sore eyes to see this candle back, and not just see it back, but to see it in a larger jar, to see, I guess you guys are saying black wax. I thought the inside of the jar was painted black. I didn't get my information right. And what's great, that now that this label is bigger, something I never even thought of before. If you look at what this witch is holding, she's stirring her cauldron, right? I mean, obviously she's doing that, but look what that stick is. That's the correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that looks like birch to me, right? Which is very interesting because you know, you kind of smell witch's cauldron, at least the original, and there may be a little bit of birch in there, or if there's not birch in the candle, at least it makes us think of it. This is why labels are so important. Here is a little something I put together for Instagram. That's really the same thing. Let's see if we can get a high resolution photo. There it is, high resolution. So we can really get into this photograph. Because again, this is the one that I am always talking about. So we can finally see, you know, the close-up of the witch here. Because, again, the label of the original was pretty small. But we do see the fingernails, we see the stick, we see this kind of, do you see my cursor on the screen? This, what is that, a pipe, a hose that's going into the cauldron? I don't know. And where is this witch? I mean, she's in her dungeon. If you could see up in here, is that stained glass windows? Is that like, you know, gems or some kind of crystal encrusted in a dungeon wall? We see cobwebs over here. I will admit that looks like a very cheap Halloween costume, but who cares? You know, fake velvets, and we got some lace, kind of like mini tutus on her wrists. Just so great to, like I said, see this photo in a larger format. Now, this is a larger picture. It is cropped. You won't see all of these details on the label on the candle, but this is really the first time I've got a chance to get a good close look at this candle, because again, the label is so small and there's so many shadows and highlights in this picture that when it's small, it's really hard to see. In fact, the original candle, it's hard to tell if she's smiling or crying. It kind of looks like she's crying on the old candle. So, I know what this candle smells like, but how is Kringle describing this candle? And I'm going to show you what the country candle version looks like. I did see this. Primary notes of clove. No. If there's primary notes of clove, this is not going to be the same candle as the original. And that would be upsetting. Probably more to everybody else and not myself. Because I have my own little stash of the original Kringle candles, the Witch's Cauldron. But primary notes of clove, cedar, absolutely. I usually say cedar like I describe it. Well, let's bring it out. Let's bring it out. Let's give you a close look. Now, this is the original release. Let's get some light. How about some light? Uh-oh. There we go. Battery's dying. I'm here. So you see what I'm saying about how small that label is? It's really kind of hard to pick out all the details. But clove. Yes. Yes. Primary. No. Cedar, or it doesn't say cedar. It says... Oh, it does say cedar. Cedar. I always say expired firewood. So really dried out firewood or firewood that's expired. You know, the fire has gone out in your fireplace, and there's just some embers, or you're camping, right? You're camping and you have a bonfire or a small campfire, And the way I've described this before, and I just think it's so accurate that I have to say it, it's like having a campfire and it starts to rain or mist, and that precipitation extinguishes the fire a little bit. And you know what happens when that occurs, right? The white billowing clouds, that really pungent, fragrant, wet smoke emerges from the fire. This smells like wet firewood. This is why this candle was not and will not be for everybody if it does smell the same, because you're rather on board with this aggressive firewood, ashy smokiness. And I always add in hickory smoke. There's a smoked, like, a culinary smoked quality here. Like you got some, some hickory wood or some apple wood, whatever, and you're trying to infuse that aromatic wood with whatever you're smoking. And because this also has some cherry and stone fruit, like plum-like notes, the fruitiness in that smoky hickory thing always kind of creates this barbecue sauce for me, which, again, man, you're probably saying, wow, that smell. You just said firewood, wet firewood, and barbecue sauce. That sounds horrible. Trust me. I'm not saying you're going to love this. In fact, many of you will probably despise it, but it is such an interesting aroma. Whether you hate it or love it, it belongs on your shelf, in my opinion. So to continue what they said, primary notes of clove and cedar dance mysteriously with the hints of incense. I think that is just elaborating on incense not being so much the resin or charcoal or the biomass, like the compressed biomass that you infuse the incense, or you infuse the oil into the biomass to burn, but more of the expired stick, like when you have the stick of incense and it's a big long twig of ash. That I kind of get. Citrus, again, I've always described this as cherry and stone fruit and other exotics, exotic spice, exotic resins. It's okay. I'm not criticizing, but by saying exotics, I don't know what they're referring to, but that's okay. So let me read this from beginning to end one more time. I apologize. I should just read the whole thing. Primary notes of clove and cedar dance mysteriously with hints of incense, citrus, and other exotics to create this utterly bewitching fragrance. I like the way that's written. And you know what? Maybe I was being too judgmental on the clove. Because they didn't say primary notes of clove. They said primary notes of clove and cedar. So, okay. But to me, if anyone's seen any of my videos on this candle, to me, other than the smoke, the cedar, the firewood, the campfire, all of that, you put all of that smoky wood aside, this is a big, bright, bubbly candle. Fruity, fun. It smells like a soda fountain. What do I mean? I'm talking vanilla. I'm talking amaretto. I'm talking kind of like sweet almond nuttiness that kind of ties in with the amaretto. But the biggest note that I always pull out from this candle, and it's going to sound crazy if you've never heard me say it before, but Dr. Pepper. Yes. Cherry with that cola base. There is a cola base here for sure. That usually comes with the amaretto notes. But with the cherry, with those exotics, I don't know, maybe a peppery quality. It's a little bit of a spice, not like a baking spice, but maybe like a little bit of like a cracked black pepper thing going on here. But whatever's doing it does bring to mind Dr. Pepper. So instead of that rain falling from the sky on that campfire, Imagine taking, several bottles of Dr. Pepper and dousing out that campfire with Dr. Pepper. Extinguishing a campfire with Dr. Pepper. Can you imagine that? Do you like that? Does that sound intriguing to you? If it does, I really hope you find one of these candles. They're sold out. But maybe when they're shipped, you'll find them on eBay or something. I don't know. And let's just I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this candle will smell the same. Because I found this, I purchased the candle the last time in 2014. Not the last, but I purchased the candle in 2014. It was on clearance. This is when they were retiring the candle because everyone hated it. Even the employees, I won't say who, but even the employees at the village or at Kringle Candle, just kind of openly admitted everybody hates this candle. I remember my mother hating the candle. I remember even myself not enjoying the candle. But it was on clearance for $4.99, so I bought a few. And then a couple years later, after I did my first video, I found out that it's retired and they weren't making it anymore. And that was the beginning of my quest to find this candle, and to get. It started out with just to get some for myself, for my shelves, but also, I wanted to share it with as many people as I could. I got a lot of jars. I struck a gold mine. I got factory sealed candles. The boxes were never opened. Factory sealed boxes, several cases of each. But I also was able to track down daylights. So although I couldn't share those candles with everybody, those candles really helped fund a lot of the travels that we did on this channel a couple years ago. I was able to share a lot of these daylights because I had a bunch of these. This is my last one. I had a bunch of these that I shared. And it's just great to see this candle back because I hope in some small way, maybe I'm not flattering myself or I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm certainly not, because I don't think it's true. But I hope in some small way, like a butterfly effect, in some small way, I had a minute, that I had something to do with the return of this candle. Maybe I just kept the name alive by just not stop saying the name. On nearly every one of my lives, I talk about Witch's Cauldron, or every Halloween video I make, I talk about Witch's Cauldron. Let's take a look at the country candle version, which, being that it's 100% paraffin, well, I don't know if it's 100%, but paraffin-based, this one may have a longer shelf life. So that was a concern. A bunch of people reached out to me and said, which one should I buy? And I really don't know. If you really want to just burn it and enjoy it, get rid of it this year or have it for a couple candles for a few years, burn them. But if you're like me and you want to put a couple away for the long haul, I think the better way to go would have been with the country candle paraffin jar. However, I don't know until I smell them and I burn them and I guess let both of them age. Now, if they weren't soy blends, then there would be no concern because the original Kringle tumblers, like we said, were paraffin based. We got to keep going. How are we doing? We hanging in there? Are you guys still floating around? We hitting that thumbs up button? I ordered the paraffin candle, says Diane. I think either way you went, it was a good choice because the tumblers look gorgeous, but the country candles, like I said, I mean, they're gonna burn a little bit slower, and maybe have a longer shelf life. So Eric says, Shane, you hunted down Wolfsbane at my request since I love the daylight so much. God, you know, I vaguely remember that, Eric. Wolfsbane actually turned out to be not harder to find, but once I had found Witch's Cauldron, and once I had found Fright Night and Wolfsbane, to get my hands on more Wolfsbane was hard, because as much as people didn't like Witch's Cauldron, it wasn't a popular candle. Wolfsbane, and we'll talk about this one next, is a beast. And I think even the person I purchased most of my Wolfbanes from assumed that there was something wrong with the candles, that they were too old. They actually smell fantastic, and they're holding up wonderfully considering their age. It's such a bold candle, a bold statement for sure. So let's take a look at Wolfsbane. Nice little segue there, and then we'll have a sniff. Wolfsbane. All right, so here, whoa, look at that! Again, it still catches me off guard. Beautiful, beautiful. Very simple label, but striking nonetheless. The silhouette of the howling wolf, the children of the night, what sweet music they make, with the purple moonlight in the distance, in the soft focus. It's all about minimalism with some of these labels. I think that's really when they work. I guess with this Kringle line, sometimes less is more. Let's see if do we have a higher resolution? Yeah, it's a little bit saturated, that color, and it's pretty much the same thing. And then 2014, check it out. That's what the original one looked like. And the one I have right here that I'm about to smell, the color is a little weird on that. That needs to be color corrected. The glass isn't that murky. And see how much wider. We talk about candles being cropped, right? Look how much wider this label is. So although the new tumbler the label is bigger, we're getting less of this atmospheric space to the left and the right. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. And that's the same photo. So let us take us... Oh, God, I didn't show you. I apologize. Let me do that again real quick, guys. Again, forgive me for some of this. This is still new to me. This format. There it is, guys. I'm sorry. There's the tumbler. And just, I don't know, rewind and listen to everything I said. The silhouette of the moon and that beautiful purple light. And then here was the original jar. This one being from 2014, which I'm going to smell right now. Apologize for that. This is why, like, I need a producer on hand. Not a producer, just a person on hand to tell me all the things I'm doing wrong. Let's get a little bit more light there. And let's work on that focus. Wolfsbane. Look at that label. That classic Kringle satin finished label. That's not a glossy label. No high shine there. A staple of what one of the reasons why I think Kringle candles look so great. Again, 8-ounce jar. We have secondary label up there. We have the good stuff down there. Let's give this a sniff. Man, So if wow, it's been a long time. This candle probably hasn't ever since it was poured. This candle was probably never opened. I have a case of each of these, half a case, sometimes exaggerated, half a case of each of these on my shelf right here, and I feel like this is the first time this has been opened since it was poured, because like I said, these were factory sealed. But my point was, if you ever question, what is musk? M-U-S-K. What is musk? What's a good example of a candle that is extremely musky? This candle is going to be a demon of musk. And I have to quote my friend Doug from Spooky Villages and Hauling Wax. If someone wants to link Doug up, please do that. A great friend of mine and a huge Halloween fanatic. His descriptor for this candle, his description that he gave this candle is a classic. He called this evil baby powder. And man, does that just, when you just have the right combinations of words and you say evil baby powder, and man, it just, you get it. This is and by evil, aggressive. This is a floral musk. This is, baby powder, talcum powder, barber shop. This is, someone just threw a can of a talcum powder or baby powder into the air. Meanwhile, you have those really, really pungent, aggressive floral aromas. The hydrangeas, not geraniums. Oh God, where's Philly Candleman when you need him? Not geranium. Gardenias. Hyacinth, right? Stargazer lily of the valley, right? Muguet is just lily of the valley, the French name. Anyway, but aggressive, musky notes of florals and powder. We can throw in rose petal if we want to, but to me, the reason why this works is because I mentioned leather can have a muskiness to it. When I'm thinking of Wolfsbane, okay, Wolfsbane is a floral. You can do your research if you want. But, I'm thinking of Wolfsbane. My mind is going to Lon Chaney Jr., the Wolfman, right? And, the full moon and the man transforming into this beast, this creature that hunts and stalks innocent victims in the night. What's happening with this muskiness is that it brings me to leather, right? It brings me to rawhide, a brand new leather jacket. Right? Very, like if you walk into a leather store where like they're actually crafting leather apparel, furniture, whatever, and you get that strong musky smell. What that does for me is it kind of creates this masculine yet beast, wolfman-like smell. And I think that is the brilliance here, is not so much that this smells like powder or floral musk. It's more of that it's reminding me of leather and how this kind of brings my mind to the Wolfman. Or we can think of more Native American routes, but since this is a Halloween candle, I don't know if you want to go there. But Native American routes, the wolf, the man's best friend, the wilderness, and the leather clothing, the apparel. I always talk about the trading posts, where you buy leather clothing, like in not real trading posts, but like trading posts in like Lake George, New York. But so very masculine in that it reminds me of a wolf man, beastly. But because it also is floral and powdery, with a definitely brightened up, it's tried. It tries to be brightened up with citrus. There is a prettiness to it as well. So it crosses this line of masculine, feminine, or let's just say unisex. It's none of the above. It's neither masculine or feminine or both. However you want to think of it, I think would be fine. But I think, if you don't want to burn this candle, if it's too strong for you, at the very least, this is like, just such a great candle for candle enthusiasts, geeks, like us, right? Most of us, right? Even if you don't burn this, again, it's one of those candles that it's so unique and so bombastically over the top in the best way that it belongs on a place on your shelf. And out of the 4 original fragrances, this stands side by side with Witch's Cauldron. The other 2 are great, but this one and Witch's Cauldron are truly unique. There's a bunch of other fragrance notes here. I will do edited videos at some point this year. If you can believe it, I've never evaluated this candle, but there is this smell of really hot cement, blazing sun on cement, and it just rained. That smell? Not asphalt, but cement. The cement sidewalk that's been cooled down by the precipitation. Or if we could just think about minerality. Think about in that forest, right? The wolf. The wolf is crossing through a babbling brook. That sounds too friendly. A raging creek. Strong rapids, but there's a lot of minerality. There's a lot of pebbles. There's that salty limestone, chalky minerality. That smell of that fresh, filtered, mountain filtered water, spring water. That definitely, again, it just adds to the complexity of this candle. It is a bit hidden because of the power of the musk. But it's definitely in there. And, yes, to be clear, although, I don't know if I should say to be clear, it does kind of remind me of old school men's cologne. I kind of use that a lot, that descriptor a lot, and it's very vague, so I try not to say it. But, if you remember the classic cologne, some of them are still around, that dawned in the late 70s and the 80s and maybe the early 90s. This is a little bit more of a men's masculine cologne of days past. With that said, something that is a much more contemporary, like men's cologne, is going to be this next candle right here. Did I read the fragrance notes for Wolfsbane? I did not. Floral amber. So amber, we always... Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that again, but it's a big topic. But I think, when you hear the word amber, you kind of know what they mean. But it is a big topic. It's like musk. But anyway, floral amber. I don't know if it's floral amber. That would be very strange. Floral amber. Or if there's supposed to be a comma in there. These are not official notes. These are just kind of my chicken scratch. Floral amber and powder. Woodland flowers and floral accords. Woodland flowers, floral accords. So a combination of florals. Again, by the word accord. And floral amber powder. Yeah. I think there's citrus in the official fragrance notes. And rightfully so, because I definitely do get some citrus. But let's talk about a candle that's described, Fright Night. Are you ready? Fright Night. Fiendishly delightful citrus notes with rare wood accords. They're really going with this word accords here. There's another one you might want to look up the definition for. Again, accord means a recipe, a proprietary recipe. Not by definition, but that's what they're implying. When you see sandalwood as a fragrance note on a candle, it's not like everyone's using the same sandalwood fragrance. Sandalwood is created by combining different fragrances, ingredients, to create a sandalwood accord. It's how a candle company would define sandalwood. It's their sandalwood accord. Does that make sense? Or if you mixed a bunch of different citrus fruit together, citrus accord, right? Fright Night. Let's take a look at the picture here on Fright Night. Fright Night. Am I the only one who is absolutely in love with the 80s, mid to late 80s, not late, 80, was it 86, 87? Fright Night with Chris Sarandon. Oh man, was that such a good movie. Charlie Brewster. Directed by Tom Holland, who also directed the original Child's Play. I'm trying to throw as much stuff at you guys while I'm trying to pull this together here. There we go. Wow. Yes, that's dazzling. Very beautiful. Now, again, it's absolutely gorgeous. However, it is cropped. It's cropped from the original label. It's okay. It's okay. It still tells the same story. But take a look at that. And then we'll take a look at this. You see how much... it's not so much deeper, taller. It's just more, again, you're getting more left to right imagery of that purple sky. I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Beggars cannot be choosers. And let's jump into this candle. Are you guys still with me? Let me know if you're still with me. There it is. Fright Night. Oh yeah. So you see the vampire bats over the moon again. A lot of the same motifs here. But Fright Night, the film, we're talking about vampires. We see the vampire bats in that very dark, cloudy night. We know that this, I think it's safe to say we're going into this as a very vampire-inspired themed candle. Let's see what it is. I know what it is. This is all right. I mean, I'm not surprised. I've had these candles, but wow, this one is really quite strong. I don't know if all of them are as strong as this one. I just pulled this one randomly. I really think it is. The reason why these are so powerful is because most of these haven't ever been opened, or if they were opened, it was a long time ago. So the aroma is just filling up that negative space in the glass. So really nice, kind of like Concord grape aromas here. Really sweet and but also that fruity, the fruity skins of grapes. I don't mean like the grapes you find at the grocery store, the Thompson seedless grapes. I mean, if you've never had a Concord grape, that is an American variety of grape, but it's really aromatic and it's really concentrated. It's really small. But if you've ever been to wine country where they're growing a the European species, the Vitis vinifera grape, they're much smaller, they're much more concentrated, they're much more complex, little nuggets of fruit. And, you know, you squeeze one of those grapes in your hand, Cabernet or Merlot. This is definitely like a Bordeaux kind of grape, a deep, heavy red. Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, Malbec. But if we want to say Concord, go there. But just don't think I mean like grape jelly. I'm talking about the fresh grape, Concord grape off the vine. Nice, refreshing, bright citrus. This candle is really showing well right now. Maybe I just never gave this candle enough credit as it deserves. Or maybe just my nose is changing. Our noses change, our palates change over time. But the citrus and the fruitiness really makes this bright. This is right from the get-go a bright candle. And thematically, conceptually, to me, this makes sense. I know that you might think I'm pulling, you know, strings here, or trying to milk it. But again, we're seeing the bats up in the sky. You know, imagine if you were to compose a piece of music with bats floating, fluttering in the sky, right? Imagine what that music would sound like. Like John Williams, how he would compose something. It would feel very lofty, the music. And the same thing is true with aroma. If you have a fast flying creature, a rodent in the sky, dancing, you know, the silhouette dancing in front of the moon, you want something that's going to be bright, not heavy, right? And so, to me, I think that the initial impression and direction of this candle being more fruity and bright compared to the last two is definitely a good approach. And with that said, this is going to be a much more friendly candle, meaning, you know, this has a much better chance of success with everybody, where those are going to be hit and miss. The Witch's Cauldron and the Wolfsbane. I think anyone would love the smell of this candle. There's nothing offensive about it. Some really nice florals. There's some candy notes in here. A little bit tart. I'm gonna say I'm gonna split the difference. I was gonna say Necco wafers and I was gonna say now and laters. I'll split the difference. Smarties candies. You know what I'm talking about. They're still around. It's got to be one of the most popular Halloween candies still to this day. Smarties, you know, in the little plastic cellophane. They're powdery, they're sweet, and they just have a hint of tartness. A hint. There's more going on in this candle. What is the... Oh, but we looked at the fragrance notes. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm excited. I mean, I'm gonna have to make a Kringle edited video anyway, so I should do a compare and contrast the old candles with the new. But I'm just really long overdue to talk about these candles, and I think I'll kind of collect my thoughts and save my in-depth evaluation for that moment. Oh, we have Eric, Roddy McDowell. It's funny. I was having a difficult time trying to place his name, and how much I love Roddy McDowell in the film Fright Night. One of the greatest characters, Peter Vincent, the vampire slayer. Roddy McDowell plays a television host, much like Elvira, who hosts a late-night horror film programming on like public access TV. So thank you for throwing that reference out there. And just as a side note, a little bit of trivia. Johnny Depp partially based his character, his version of Ichabod Crane in Sleepy Hollow on Peter Vincent, Roddy McDowall's character from Fright Night. And thank you for that super chat, Eric. Very much appreciated. If anyone's confused by the super chat situation, this is a great way. If you want to send a penny, if you want to send a couple bucks, all of the money that's made on these live streams goes into... I'm going to start rephrasing it. Sometimes you have to start rephrasing things. All of the money gets invested back into the show, but mainly the travel-based videos. Right now, I'm showing you candles, the Kringle candles that I'll show you when I get them in the mail, the Yankee, all of the candles around me. I'm buying those. I mean, sometimes I use some of the money that we raise for the channel for candles, but mainly the money goes into investing in our travel show. So when you know, by super chatting, it's not like you're tipping me. The money is being reinvested into content, especially this time of year. It's this time of year to the holidays where I do the bulk of my traveling. Maria says, love you, 3 exclamation points. Check that out. Love how into it you are. I really appreciate that. I said Maria. I'm sorry. It's Mara. It's a very pretty name, Mara. Okay. I'm liking all the comments. I'm seeing the comments. And know that I do go back and watch these live streams and check out all the comments that I missed. But since time is of the essence here, let's check out Candy Corn. Now this also came in the Kringle Candle tumbler. Let's switch on over. Look at that. Well, good God. You could even see the little, like, indentations in the candy, right? Oh, man. There's just something about this, like, big, bright, yellow, orange candy contrasted by that shiny, glossy, black tumbler. Oh, man. It's just fantastic. This was truly a hard choice. Do you go with the tumbler by Kringle, or do you go with the country candle jar? I think either way you went, you're going to be a winner. Beautiful. And look at that, the color of that wax. Oh, man. And then if we take... You know, I actually don't have an old photo of it, but I actually have the actual candle itself. So let me just save us some time and bring out the candle. This originally went by the name Kringle Corn, not candy corn. But I think they made the right choice. To save the confusion, they've changed the name to candy corn. This was the Daylight. Again, this came in the 4-ounce tumbler with the aluminum lid. But the whole collection... Huh. I'm looking at this label now. Really close. It's been a long time, guys. This was the original. Look at the vignetting that's happening. And by vignetting, I'm not really using the right term. It's not out of focus, but... well, this photo is out of focus. Can I get focus here? The camera? Camera, can you give me focus, please? Come on. Are you kidding me? You're kidding me. I can't stand this. It just doesn't want to focus. There it goes. There's this darkening on the corners here, which I guess is called vignetting. But I don't know why they would do that. Takes away It takes away from the total impact, but it is the actual same photo. It's not just another random picture of candy corn candies. But this was, again, part of the collection. The original price, look at it. Oh, you know what? Because this did not come from a factory box. This one came from, if Rachel, you're still in the house, I think you're familiar with this. You are familiar with this place. A Christmas Loft up in New Hampshire. Is it North Conway? I just called and called and called and called because this is the one I couldn't find in bulk. And I just kept calling, and I could find the daylights, but I could not find this 8 ounce. Is it 8 or 8.5? I've been saying 8, but it might be 8.5 ounces. Well, it should say. But I finally tracked 2 of these down. One went to a big collector of Kringle candles, and the other one, well, it went to me right here. Let's give this one a sniff. Kringle Corn. Is there a year on this one? It is a 2014. The sticker's in the way. Oh, yeah. So, we all know what candy corn smells like, right? Big time confection. That distinct smell of honey goodness, confectioner's sugar. If we're talking about Yankee Candle's candy corn, you get a little bit of this buttercream action. I think really where this one differs, it's more intense, but it's more intense. The aroma is more intense for a reason, because it's more of this vanilla frosting, buttercream, some kind of decadent, super sweet pastry topping. When I smell this candle, do I distinctly think candy corn? Not really. But does it work as candy corn? Absolutely. But if you called this, honestly, very similar to Yankee Candle's Christmas cookie. You get this sugar cookie, you get that kind of hardened frosting on the cookie, the frosted cookie, I should say. It really is more of a baked treat, baked cookie. Let's just say it. It just smells like a cookie. And it even almost smells, I'm cold here. Again, these candles are now approaching 5+ years old. There's even a little bit of this cocoa note that reminds me of red velvet cake. So, definitive candy corn candle? But does it work as candy corn? Absolutely, certainly. It smells fantastic, and it works to fulfill the image of candy corn. But as far as was it Brahmin's real honey candy corn that you see on Halloween all the time? Does it smell like a bag of that? Exactly, not necessarily. Imagine if you took, I like this, if you took candy corn and you broke it down and you turned it into a whipped frosting. Yeah. Why has that not been done? Or maybe it is done. Why you take a nice lightly spiced cookie, or just a basic sugar cookie with a little bit of a candy corn buttercream frosting on top. Make a Halloween cookie treat. There we go. But if you are a candy corn lover, I am. I really am. This is a very great, a great candle if you're a candy corn lover. But it's a welcomed addition to this year's 2019 Kringle Candle Halloween releases. Let me tell you, folks, this has been I just yelled into the microphone. This has been so much fun, much longer than I anticipated. I just really appreciate you guys hanging out with me and constantly showing me support, seeing the several moderators in the group, you know, protecting us from any negativity, anybody who might be floating around looking to stir up some trouble. I just feel like you guys just are so kind to me in every which way possible, and I can never thank you guys enough. I just wish that I could devote every moment of my day and life to just making videos for us to hang out, not just these lives, but going out and doing stuff. And I just want to remind those of you who maybe haven't heard me talking about it before that I am really working hard. I've been taking an extended break, but I'm working really hard. I'm pulling all the pieces back together and making a strong return to pump out videos, candle related, travel related, anything nostalgic related. So just give me a little bit of time, and when I do make my kind of return back, full-time return to YouTube, I want to make sure that I have fantastic videos prepared to share with you guys. And so far, so good. A few things I want to plug before we end. If you're wondering if there's a place where you can keep up to date with what I'm doing, with what the candle industry is up to check out other people's collections, to share your opinions and to share your collections, to get just to be a part of a friendly, positive community of folks who just want to be friendly, positive, and essentially be friends, right? There's nothing wrong with just a group of friends. My point is, swing over to Facebook. Everyone's got a Facebook account, and request to join the Candle Enthusiast Facebook fan group. Well, some of my friends ask me, how does it feel to have a fan group? And I'm like, it's still bizarre. But what's important is it's not a fan group as much as it is a collective of really like-minded folks who come together and share their passion for candles, home fragrance, everything aromatic and nostalgic. And this is the best time of the year because essentially it's all holidays from now until New Year's. I want to thank everybody, and Morgan, thank you for the super chat, and Eric, thank you for the super chats. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button, and I'm going to be doing an after show. But I'm going to take about a 10-minute break to get the video ready to launch, and we're going to be talking about Yankee Candle, some big breaking news regarding Yankee Candle Halloween 2019. So you definitely don't want to miss out on this. This really all just happened a couple days ago. Some big news was unfolded, unleashed, unveiled is maybe the word I'm looking for. But I'm also going to share some of the other tidbits of things that we're expecting for Yankee Candle 2019. Thank you. Thanks again, everybody. Share the love, share the video, share the word, the Candle Enthusiast. The second show, the after show, is going to be on my second channel. The link is in the description below. It's called Aromatically Speaking. It's my all live stream channel. And what's really important is that you go over, even if you can't watch right now, go over, Aromatically Speaking, go over and subscribe. We're really trying hard to get to 1,000 subscribers on that channel. It was a very small, intimate channel, but we need to get to 1,000 subscribers. I won't get into all the details why, but YouTube, Google, they need us to have 1,000 subscribers. So please do a huge favor. If anything you could do is swing over to Aromatically Speaking, hit subscribe. And if you have some time to join in for the after show, got a lot of stuff to talk about. And if you can't watch now, it'll be uploaded later, so you can always come back to it anytime you want. that's going to be it, folks. Make sure you leave comments below if you're watching this at a later time. And I will be addressing more questions in on the after show. And look at this, we got Joseph and Brian Fusco. Oh my God, and Stephanie Hall. I almost missed all of you guys with super chats. Thank you so much. Stephanie Hall, happy Halloween season. Brian Fusco, how have you been, buddy? I haven't heard from you in a long time. Haven't made a live in a while, so he's confirming that. Keep it up, Shane. Great to hear from you, Brian. And then Joseph, thanks for the awesome Halloween videos, brother. You got it. Always my pleasure. Always my pleasure. All right, guys. We'll see you on Aromatically Speaking. Give me about 10 minutes. Thanks for joining. Have a good one.